Taoyuan Tzu Chi volunteers prepares hot meals and supplies for the hardworking firefighters. Senior Gao Yuan especially brought his 102-year-old grandfather for his very first Jing Si Hall visit. Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Lori Chen. Thank you for joining us. On July 29th, multiple fires occurred in Taoyuan, some residential houses in Bade, and a plastics factory in Guanyin. The firefighters have worked non-stop to ensure everyone's safety. In addition, Tzu Chi volunteers also deliver hot meals to both the rescue workers and affected individuals.
More than 10 hours after the fire at the plastic factory, plumes of thick black smoke can still be seen. Tzu Chi volunteers have prepared breakfast in the morning for the firefighters.
These firefighters work very hard as they have been tackling the huge fire from 2 o'clock yesterday afternoon until now. Although they have shifts, it's still hard work for them. Some of them haven't yet returned home to rest.
The incidents occurred on July 29th. A huge fire raged at the plastic factory, causing heavy plumes of smoke billowing from it. Fortunately, no one was killed or injured, but the smoke caused some people to feel uncomfortable. Volunteers in Xinwu and Guanyin quickly delivered bottled water to the scene.
Because of the burning of plastics, the air quality is not very good. In addition to sending water and sports drinks, we have also prepared some milk. It allows them to relieve summer heat and detoxify their bodies.
On the same day, a fire broke out in a residential house in Bade. Fortunately, no one was trapped in the burning house. Upon hearing the news from the community residents, the volunteers immediately mobilized more than 10 people to care for the fire survivors. Among the affected residents, some of them were Tzu Chi care recipients. They could not hold back their emotions when seeing the volunteers. Both water and electricity supplies have been cut off at the fire scene. 20 Tzu Chi volunteers of the Taoyuan Jing Si Hall have prepared hot meals for the rescue workers and affected residents. The volunteers will continue to care for them and understand their needs.
3 years ago, a pair of conjoined Filipino twin girls went to桃園慈濟 Hospital in Taiwan for a life-altering abdominal separation surgery. Volunteer Cochita Dan, who originally accompanied the girls, recently went back and visited them.
Although the separation surgery for Jeneline and Geraldine de Guzman has been successfully completed, Tzu Chi volunteers are still concerned about them. As soon as the volunteers arrived at the children's daycare center, Jeneline and Geraldine happily ran to them. 3 years after the separation surgery, now the 5-year-old twin girls study very well.
They usually focus on learning. They have learned to draw, write, sing, and dance. These are the lessons that the children of the daycare center take every day.
The twins call this volunteer Grandma, who always has good interactions with them.
I feel very happy because they have started to go to school. They are as smart as ordinary children who can also draw.
Alam na nila pag-distinguish na mga kulay.
This was the footage when the twins were conjoined before the operation. When they were born, they astonished the whole village. The grandmother referred to as volunteer Conchina Tan, who accompanied them to come to Taiwan for separation surgery. After school, Tan accompanied the twin girls home. She also brought them school supplies.
We lived a difficult life when we were young. We were unable to go to school due to poverty. That's why we hope our children can finish their studies.
Their mother expects that they can have a bright future and grow up healthy in environments full of love.
A Tzu Chi volunteer, Liu Shouzhu from Taichung, Taiwan, had a very dark past. Her daughter was born with cerebral palsy, and she herself is a domestic violence survivor. She used to be suicidal until she found the motivation to help others who are also struggling. Now she has let go of the pain and is living a joyful life.
Liu Shouzhu's eldest daughter has cerebral palsy, hence she depends on her mother in life. She needs to take care of everything for her daughter in daily life.
Both sides of her brain were atrophied, so she has a weak balance.
She has made many toys from recycled goods for her daughter, and she has also discovered a way to keep her daughter happy and calm.
She becomes delightful when she gets to play with water, and I can also use the time to finish many house chores.
In addition to taking care of her daughter, she also made many accessories and jello so she can sell them to provide for the family. Liu Shizhu said that she had changed her bitter attitude toward life into optimism now.
I used to live in pain because I complained about everything in my life.
She used to think about leaving the world because she suffers from a dark period in life. On top of taking care of her ill daughter, she was also frustrated about her husband's affairs.
He looked down on me because my daughter is ill, and I can't do anything but accept all of his bad behaviors. He often yelled at me and beat me back then.
All of her sufferings were eased when she started volunteering to serve. She often brings her daughter to help at the recycling station. She also helps cut seniors' hairs during free clinics. However, since she had an endometrial cancer last year, her body becomes weaker after removing her uterus. Therefore, now she mostly conducts home visits to people in need.
I'm very grateful that I found out about cancer at an early stage.
Now that she has strengthened herself with a positive attitude, she is no longer depressed, and she got the power to conquer any challenges in life.
This year, the Jing Si Books and Cafe Young volunteers are once again gathered together to perform interpretation of the sutra through sign language. Students from all over Taiwan are using the summer months to both learn and demonstrate this year's theme of filial piety. Not only do the children learn quickly through doing, but they're also little role models for their families. The young volunteers took to the stage and performed the sutra interpretation through sign language. This year, there were a total of 288 Jing Si Books and Cafe Young volunteers that participated in the stage drama performance.
Tzu Chi contacted us, so we show up with our students to participate in the sign language performance. Through the learning process, these children are learning so much about their abilities. They feel really proud they are able to accomplish such tasks, and it's a joy for them to do sign language.
The young children do not know many words, but incredibly, they are able to memorize the whole song. 4-year-old Wang Junze is participating for the very first time, and his mother is already seeing transformations.
你会比什么手语？
感谢。
还有呢？
想述的愿望。
He's learning so much from being here. For example, when he goes back home, he will go get the carnation flower that he made previously and give it to me as a gift. Maybe this is the subtle influence of the sutra lyrics. It's instilling in him the idea of filial piety, which is very important.
This year's theme is filial piety. Whether it's young or junior volunteer, they're able to learn about this value through performing.
There are many activities that represent filial piety, such as sutra interpretation performances, feet bathing ceremony, and tea ceremony. They are all interconnected with one another. I believe that all these activities have a profound impact on the child when they are participating or just watching. They have a deeper impression and are blessed, since not every child gets these kinds of opportunities.
One must seize the opportunity to participate in this type of events, especially for children. This is also a great way for the parents to witness their children's growth. On the stage, all the young volunteers are focused, and each one is conveying important messages of the sutra. In the audience, the parents are very impressed by their maturity and composure. In the end, everyone adopted a bamboo coin bank to cultivate more blessings.
妈妈在哪里？好，亲一下才能投。好，来，好，祝福你。
妈妈买东西的时候，我每次都。
When my mother is buying something, I always remind her that pocket money can be used to help others as well.
每天打扫家里。
I clean the house every day. I do the dishes, mopping, sweeping, vacuuming, and clean the quilt. This is how I save pocket money.
Using summer vacation time to learn more about Dharma and the Sutra, as time passes, our wisdom will continue to grow. DaAi Technology staff has overcome plenty of challenges in coming up with products that are both good for the consumer as well as the environment. Their willful efforts have also deeply inspired the partner companies that they work with.
OK， 没关系。
We were not sure if we could accomplish the mission. However, the Dharma Master has encouraged us. If these burn survivors were your own family members, would you want to lessen their pain? Therefore, we shoulder the responsibility. A volunteer was injured by stepping on nails. Another was sprayed by mud during the cleaning process. The Dharma Master hoped we could develop a set of gear that could protect our volunteers during missions. As a result, Dharma Master Zheng Yan has given many challenging tasks to the research and development team at DaAi Technology. Communicating with the partnering companies again and again, the sincerity and perseverance of DaAi Technology has changed the attitude of their partners over time.
Many turned us down in the beginning, but through multiple communication processes, they started to understand our purpose behind these innovations. The partnering companies eventually felt touched by the compassion behind our motivations. After listening to our explanations, they will feel that you are doing a good deed. We must help you.
Those helping DaAi Technology include the busy senior specialist Chen Yongshan. Chen was originally the manager of a plastic factory that works with DaAi Technology. In the past, when business boomed, he could earn up to $32,000 a month. However, he gave up the high income to join this research and development team.
Most plastic factories think that PET cannot be injected. I'm a very stubborn individual, so I believe it is possible. I also think DaAi Technology's raw materials are of good quality. Therefore, I want to come out with innovative final products.
Despite his abundant experience in working with plastic materials, it took Chen half a year to get familiar with the characteristics of PET. Others who took up the challenge include fashion designer Chen Hongxiang. When both the fabric and colors are limited, he has to think of ways to come up with simple yet elegant clothing designs.
The partnering tailor told me that by working with me, he is taking on challenges as well. They think I'm truly amazing and experienced. They always say, "You are so creative with such a simple fabric." I take their words as praise and also encouragement. Therefore, I feel a sense of achievement.
Finding joy from work and facing challenges, the staff are working mindfully in the lab that's filled with love.
The annual Entrepreneur Cultivation Camp took place at the Kaohsiung Jing Si Hall. One, the performer and speaker, Gao Yuan, has especially brought his 102-year-old grandfather to this event so that he can finally step foot inside a Jing Si Hall. The singer Gao Yuan, who sings A Father's Grace, was full of emotions. In fact, sitting on the side was his 100-plus-year-old grandfather, being deeply touched by the lyrics.
My grandfather said that Dharma Master Zheng Yan really cares about the indigenous population. She really cares deeply. That's why she built a hospital in Hualien. He said he's really grateful for her compassionate heart.
The grandfather can only express himself in Japanese. He recounts in the past, they felt the warmth of Tzu Chi in the tribes. However, today was his actual first time stepping foot into a Jing Si Hall.
Sometimes I make some appearances at the news station, and my grandpa always said, "You do so many things now, I would also like to participate." That's why this time I especially brought him here to visit the Jing Si Hall. It's a really special occasion this time for both him and I. He's so touched by everything. He's so moved that he doesn't even feel tired. He saw so many Tzu Chi volunteers and how everyone's heart was united as one. He told me that he would really like to join the Tzu Chi family.
The volunteers' efforts have motivated the 100-year-old grandfather. Through his sharing, more than 500 entrepreneurs present were also motivated more than ever.
There are so many touching stories all around. Everyone needs to join hands in helping Mother Earth. We're all accountable.
The audience today came from the southern Taiwan areas. Everyone wants to do more good deeds for humanity. Through the annual sharing and growth, they look forward to making further contributions towards society. Two Malaysian entrepreneurs put in great efforts in learning how to cook in an industrial-sized kitchen area at the Jing Si Bowl in Hualien. This trip was to show their profound admiration toward the hardworking lifestyles at Tzu Chi's spiritual home.
There is an SOP to follow for whoever comes into the kitchen to cook, even successful entrepreneurs. These two entrepreneurs from Malaysia are cooking for Jing Si Hall masters. The first step is cutting vegetables to an appropriate size. They are learning everything about cooking from scratch, and volunteers remind them that being patient is the key to cooking well. They are already sweating during the cooking process. Even though they are both successful in managing companies, cooking seems to be a new challenge for them. Bajaya Corporation founder Han Sri Vincent Tan brought his youngest son to experience cooking together. The world-renowned Top Grill founder, Han Sri Lim Win Chai, wears the glow from his company to make the dishes, and the meal is finally ready to serve.
Yes, very good.
It's not their first time to dine in the Jing Si Hall. However, it's their first time to serve the meal.
Don't worry. It's okay. Eye level, okay.
They have completed the mission before lunchtime. Even though they are both soaking wet from the sweat, they feel delighted and joyful.
Please let me know how you like the dishes so that we can do it better next time.
Research shows that some 60% of dioxin in Taiwan comes from the dust associated with electric arc furnace steel-making plants. The remaining 40% comes from the fly ash incinerators. These items contain both heavy metal and dioxin. Now the government is both tracking and doing sampling to catch polluters. The slag here was supposed to export from Taiwan to the Philippines, but was refused entry and was temporarily brought back to the Taichung port, with a total volume of 1.24 million tons. From these aerial photos by the Environmental Protection Bureau, we can see that the covering only occupies about 10% of the total area, far from the 80% specified by regulations.
Here's the slag pile at Taichung Port. You can see it is more than 3 stories, with the wind being quite strong, which scatters the dust. The Taichung City Environmental Protection Bureau fined this steel company $3,000 for this violation.
The dust is scattered with the wind, and the netting has been damaged. The steel industry is urgently spraying the cement on the outer layer of the slag. In May 1998, the Ministry of Economic Affairs announced that the slag, a byproduct of steelmaking, could be reused after being decontaminated.
But many potential users of such products still have some degree of doubt, so use in the market is not so widespread.
Slag and dust, which have been processed, is later labeled as recovered material, though for a long time, this product has been dumped with few wanting it, with many instances of wrongdoing. The back of the flatbed truck rises, and slag and dust are all dumped into the pits that the operators have privately excavated.
What we collected, we suspect is rotten slag, and we're also very concerned about the dust.
This is Qishan, Kaohsiung, where slag and dust has been disposed, and this company has set up a fence around this dump and other protective barriers to keep it from seeping into groundwater. When it rains, we go to the field to determine the pH of this stagnant water. The test found that the pH was 9, shows water quality is strongly alkaline.
When it rains, the water seeps out, and the entire ditch is milky yellow, latte, or milky white color, causing the creatures who come here to die.
In early 2017, implementation of the Anti-Dumping Act brought this issue to the front line, highlighting this large-scale pollution case in Qisan, Kaohsiung. At that time, businesses said they were backfilling agricultural land with produce and not disposing of waste, with a fine only being a few thousand US. Citizens protested as these companies were earning hundreds of thousands of dollars. This led the government to amend the law as both waste and produce would be categorized as the same, using the new law to trace responsibility regarding production and supervision.
Steelmakers can say they want a cheap solution, like they did in the past, as amendments to the Waste Disposal Act means the source of the pollution is also responsible.
Taiwan has 12 steelmakers who now send their dust to the Taiwan Steel and Iron Association for processing, while another 2 carbon steel companies and 4 stainless steel makers care for it themselves or send to a reprocessor.
Dust particles smaller than PM2.5 must be processed again and compacted into a solid, and then sent via pipeline to high-temperature melting furnaces, which is heated to 1,600 degrees Celsius.
Stainless steel dust contains harmful substances such as dioxin, though this high temperature can destroy the dioxin chain.
What to do with these materials, which have no recycling value?
You need to have a place to unload the leftover waste, that which cannot be burned or is not suitable for burning.
If the heavy metal content is high or exceed so-called heavy metal toxicity characteristics, it is deemed hazardous industrial waste.
The heavy metal dissolution test separates between general and hazardous industrial waste.
Dust from steel mill and fly ash from incinerator, deemed hazardous industrial waste, must be cured. What we see in front of us is not only quite hard, as these heavy metals are not easily dissolved.
From hazardous to general waste, now it is allowed to be landfilled. The 6-hectare landfill site has solidified material piled up on the ground in layers, and finally the solidified material will pile up into mountains, just like the 5 nearby landfills. There is not enough domestic landfill space. It is not just a private predicament. Even the county and city governments cannot find enough public landfills. Therefore, this harm may continue.
Here's Clean Away Waste Storage Area. In these 20 years, more than 100,000 samples have been taken and all the test data is here. If there's an abandonment case, they can check it against these samples to find the culprit, sort of like using fingerprints.
Different waste-producing industries have a different heavy metal map, so a sample from dump waste can undergo spectrum analysis, and we can find which company or industry produced it.
From the establishment of the back-end detection, to mapping, to GPS tracking, the government is using a multi-pronged approach to prevent and control the disposal of harmful dust from adamantly entering the environment. Tzu Chi Malaysia Kelang branch held a vegetarian promotion seminar inviting team of doctors to educate everyone on the benefits of vegetarianism. It was also a great opportunity to debunk the general public's misconception on the diet. Thank you and stay healthy.